So I'm trying to figure out how did I be put in a position to see my son fighting for his life. You came to kill my daughter? Domestic violence? I wish I knew it was going on before yesterday.
In the early hours of the 5th of May, 2024, St. Louis County Police were called to Wordak Avenue, a normally quiet street, after reports of multiple gunshots. What officers found was a scene no one could have imagined. Two young siblings, Mark Rhodes Jr. and Lanesia Cooper, lying just steps apart, their bodies riddled with multiple gunshots, and their lives ended in cold blood. Just minutes before, Mark and Lanesia had begun the day like any other, with their family. But little did they know someone was about to knock on their door, and he had a plan. A plan that involved taking not just a life, but two. Their killer, fueled by vengeance, had arrived with one chilling plan. He took an Uber to the family residence, bypassing any chance of reconciliation, intent only on settling a score and revenge. Within moments in the presence of a mother, her children would be shot beyond recognition. Two lives, full of potential and promise, were extinguished in an instant.
All you see is him shooting my son down. He didn't shoot him for self-defense. He shot him to kill him. Then you my daughter.
This is the life and death of Lanesia Cooper and her brother, Mark Rhodes Jr. 20-year-old Lanesia Cooper was born on the 13th of January, 2000, in the St. Louis, Missouri area. She grew up in a large family filled with brothers, sisters, parents, cousins, and relatives who stayed close to one another. Family meant everything to Lanesia from the time she was a little girl. Her mother, Laura Cooper Rhodes, often shared photos and videos of her children online. Looking through those posts, one thing becomes clear very quickly. Her children were her world. Laura was a mother of 5 children. She had 4 daughters and 1 son. Lanesia was her oldest child. Just over a year later, on the 1st of April, 2005, Laura welcomed her first and only son, Mark Rhodes Jr. From the very beginning, Lanesia and Mark Jr. were inseparable. Their bond was more than just brother and sister. They were teammates in life, confidants, and best friends. They grew up side by side, sharing laughter, secrets, and dreams. To those who knew them, their closeness was undeniable, almost unbreakable. But what no one could have imagined was how that bond would end. Tragically, the siblings who had walked through life together would also meet death together, not just as brother and sister, but as death mates. Lanesia was known for her bright personality and her protective nature toward her siblings. She often helped her mother with the younger children, stepping into a role that showed her maturity even at a young age. Mark Jr., on the other hand, looked up to his big sister, following her everywhere and copying the things she did. Family members remember how Lanesia always dreamed of building a future that would make her mother proud, while Mark Jr. wanted nothing more than to keep his sister close. Sadly, that closeness would also mean that when tragedy struck, it would claim them both. In 2007, the Cooper family suffered a devastating loss when one of Laura's young daughters, Malaya Rose, passed away at only 3 months old. No parent ever expects to bury a child. The loss left a lasting mark on the family. Even years later, they continued honoring Malaya's memory and keeping her close in their hearts. Despite the sadness they carried, life continued moving forward. Lanesia and Mark Jr. grew up surrounded by family support. They attended school in the St. Louis area and slowly began building lives of their own. As Lanesia got older, she became known for being hardworking and determined. She graduated from high school on the 3rd of June, 2023.
Y'all don't know how stressful this was.
I don't know why you got stressed.
Because she wasn't on time. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Okay, that's my daughter. Bow. Hey, that's all me, baby. Don't act like you ain't just have bracelets, girl. You better show them pretty teeth.
For her family, that graduation was a major accomplishment. Her mother was proud, her siblings were proud, and Lanesia was proud of herself. But the day was also emotional. June 3 was not only her graduation day, it was also the anniversary of baby Malaya's passing. To honor both the happy and sad memories connected to that date, Lanija organized a balloon release at the cemetery. She wanted to celebrate her achievement while also remembering her little sister and the family members they had lost. That choice said a lot about who Lanija was. She never forgot the people she loved. After high school, Lanija began focusing on work and building a future for herself. She became a lash technician and also worked as a hairstylist. People in the community knew her for her skills and creativity. She enjoyed helping people look and feel their best, and she was slowly building a name for herself. But perhaps the role Lanija loved most was being a mother. On the 27th of April, 2021, when she was only 17 years old, Lanija gave birth to a son. The moment she became a mother changed everything. Friends and family say she worked hard to give her little boy a good life. Her social media often showed photos of her son, birthday celebrations, family gatherings, and everyday moments that made her happy. Meanwhile, her younger brother, Mark Jr., was becoming a young man. He had a strong bond with his family, especially his mother and sisters. Laura often spoke proudly about him online. When he turned 18 years old in April 2023, she shared a heartfelt message celebrating him and expressing how much she loved him. But behind the smiles and family photos, life had not always been easy. The family had already experienced tremendous heartbreak. One of the biggest losses came at the end of 2022. On the 29th of December 2022, Lanija and Mark Jr.'s father, Mark Rhodes Sr., lost his life in a tragic crash involving a police vehicle. The incident happened only one day after his 40th birthday. Even though Laura and Mark Sr. were no longer together, he remained the father of her oldest children. His death hit the family hard. Lanija lost her father. Mark Jr. lost his father. The family tried their best to move forward. They leaned on each other. They supported one another through difficult times. That is what families do. But little did Laura know the most heart-wrenching event of her life was only just brewing. By early 2024, Lanija was focused on raising her son and continuing her work. Her little boy turned 3 years old in April. Family members gathered to celebrate. There were smiles, pictures, and happy memories. For a brief moment, life seemed to be moving in a positive direction. But around that same time, another loss struck the family. Mark Sr.'s father passed away. It was yet another funeral, yet another goodbye, yet another reminder of how quickly life can change. Still, the family continued pushing forward. What no one knew was that another tragedy was already approaching, and it was taking not one, but 2 young lives.
According to the probable cause statement, Harris was previously in a romantic relationship with Cooper and accused her of slashing his new girlfriend's tires the previous evening.
At some point before May 2024, Lanija had been involved in a relationship with a 19-year-old man named Lamar Harris from Florissant, Missouri. The relationship eventually ended. Like many breakups, feelings remained hurt, tension remained. And according to investigators, problems between the two did not completely disappear, and it would soon turn deadly. On the 4th of May, 2024, according to police, Lamar believed Lanija had damaged the tires of his new girlfriend's vehicle the night before. Whether that accusation was true or not would become part of the investigation, but investigators say Lamar believed Lanija was responsible. As the hours passed, anger began building. What should have been a small disagreement was becoming something much bigger. Instead of calming down, the situation continued to grow. Then Sunday morning arrived, the 5th of May 2024. It was just after sunrise. Families across the neighborhood were beginning their day. At Lanija's house, family members were present. Laura was there. Lanija was there. Mark Jr. was there. But nobody knew that within minutes, their lives would change forever.
Detectives say Harris took a ride share to the victim's home and got into an argument and fistfight with Cooper's family. Police say Harris pulled out a weapon and opened fire. Police say Harris tried to leave the scene but was later taken into custody.
According to investigators, Lamar Harris got a ride to the home that morning. Police say his visit was unexpected. He was not invited, and he was not coming over for a friendly conversation. As Lamar arrived at the residence on Wordak Avenue, a confrontation began. Words were exchanged. Tensions rose. Family members became involved. During that confrontation, Lanija's brother, Mark Jr., became involved. Mark was known for being protective of the people he loved, especially his family. He wasn't going to stand and watch anyone disrespect them. Witnesses later recalled that the argument quickly grew louder, with emotions running high on both sides. Lamar was frustrated. Laniha was caught in the middle, and Mark Jr. stepped forward to defend his sister. Those who knew Mark said this was exactly the kind of person he was, someone who would never hesitate to shield his loved ones, even if it meant putting himself in harm's way. However, it was what happened next that would bring police rushing to the neighborhood and leave an entire community in shock. According to court documents, during the argument, Mark punched Lamar in the face. For a brief moment, it may have looked like a simple fight, but it did not stay that way. Investigators say Lamar then pulled out a firearm. Witnesses describe the moment as shocking. What began as a heated exchange between two young men suddenly shifted into something far more dangerous. Mark's punch had been an instinctive act of defense, a way to protect his sister and stand his ground. For a few seconds, it seemed like the confrontation might remain a fistfight, the kind of clash that could end with bruises and harsh words. But Lamar's decision to reach for a gun changed everything. The atmosphere instantly shifted from tense to terrifying. Family members who had been nearby realized the situation had spiraled out of control. In just seconds, the argument turned into a life-or-death situation. According to investigators, Mark was struck multiple times by gunshots during the confrontation. The young man, who had just turned 19 years old, collapsed. But the violence did not stop there. Authorities say Lanija, who watched her brother being fired at, didn't know she would be the next target. As panic spread across the yard, Lanija, sensing the danger, tried to get away. Court records later allege that she attempted to move towards safety and hide. But Lamar was not done. He chased after her and continued shooting. It was obvious he was determined to kill, and that was exactly what he did. Within moments, both siblings had suffered fatal injuries. And their mother, Laura Cooper Rhodes, was there. She saw everything happen. In a matter of seconds, she witnessed something no parent should ever have to see. The son she had raised, the daughter she loved, both were suddenly gone.
All you see is him shooting my son down. He didn't shoot him for self-defense. He shot him to kill him. Then you my daughter. I'm numb to it right now because I'm trying to figure out how did I be put in a position to see my son fighting for his life. You came to kill my daughter? Domestic violence? I wish I knew it was going on before yesterday.
The entire scene was heartbreaking. By now, emergency calls were pouring into dispatch. Neighbors were reporting multiple gunshots being fired. Others were reporting injured people lying outside. The information coming in made it clear that police needed to respond immediately. Officers rushed toward Wardak Avenue. At approximately 9:30 that morning, police arrived at the scene. What they found was devastating. Mark Rhodes Jr. and Lanija Cooper had been shot several times. Emergency medical personnel quickly began assessing the victims. Despite their efforts, there was nothing they could do. Both siblings were pronounced deceased at the scene.
A domestic dispute in a quiet North County neighborhood leaves siblings dead and a mother trying to cope with an unbearable loss. Fox 2's Kelly Hoskins talked with the mother who's trying to make sense of what happened.
Well, the tragedy all unfolded here in the 10,000 block of Wardak. We're told it's all started from a domestic dispute that left two siblings dead.
To come to somebody's house and their kids in front of their mama.
A North County mother is grieving after St. Louis County police say her son and daughter were murdered in front of their home Sunday. Their mother told me she saw it happen.
All you see is him shooting my son down. He didn't shoot him for self-defense. He shot him to kill him. Then you my daughter.
The neighborhood fell silent. Many residents could hardly believe what had happened. Some had lived there for decades and said they had never seen violence like this on their street.
Guy was a monster. She tried to run and hide along the bushes over there, and I guess he heard or saw her, and that's when he killed her. And he did it and then had an Uber ready for him so he could get out of here and try to vanish. But the cops, they saw him getting into a car and they thought it was weird, so they pulled that car over and stopped the Uber drivers.
The community says they're glad no one else was hurt in this tragedy.
We just prayers to the family.
As officers secured the area, detectives began their work. Crime scene tape was placed around the property. Investigators carefully photographed the scene. Evidence markers appeared throughout the yard. Police began speaking with neighbors who had heard or seen parts of the incident. Some reported hearing an argument before the gunshots. Others only heard the shots themselves.
You heard 8 gunshots. You know, it was 4, boom, 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 or 5, and then you hear the next boom, 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 boom. My heart goes out. It was just brutal. It was gruesome to live their lives and to be it sounded bad. like it was somebody meant to do it.
We're told Cooper was a well-known hairstylist and a mother of a 3-year-old, and Rhodes worked at a local restaurant, and their loved ones want justice.
You came directly to kill my daughter. My son was here to go to church with his mama, and you my son.
Each statement helped detectives build a timeline. Meanwhile, investigators worked to identify the suspect's movements after the shooting. According to authorities, Lamar did not remain at the scene. Instead, investigators say he attempted to leave the area using a rideshare vehicle, but law enforcement moved quickly. Because officers received information so rapidly, they were able to begin searching almost immediately. Witness accounts, evidence from the scene, and information gathered during the first stages of the investigation pointed detectives toward Lamar Harris. Before long, officers located him. The arrest happened only a short time after the shooting. Police took Lamar into custody without any major incident. For investigators, this was a critical development. The person they believed was responsible was no longer free. But while the arrest was important, it did not lessen the pain the family was experiencing. Back at the scene, detectives continued processing evidence. The St. Louis County Police Department worked throughout the day documenting everything connected to the case. Investigators reviewed witness statements. They examined physical evidence. They worked to establish exactly how the confrontation unfolded and what happened during those tragic moments. The following day, prosecutors reviewed the evidence that had been collected. After examining the facts presented by investigators, charges were formally filed against Lamar Harris.
Lamar Harris is currently in jail, being held on a $750,000 cash bond. He's been charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action in the death of Rhodes. Charges connected to Cooper's death were taken under advisement.
2 people are found deceased after a Sunday morning altercation turned into a shooting in the North St. Louis County, police say. Just after 9:30 a.m., St. Louis County Police responded to the 107,000 block of Wardark Avenue near St. Anne for a shooting. At the scene, police found a man and a woman deceased from gunshot wounds. The victims were identified as 19-year-old Mark Rhodes Jr. and 20-year-old Lenesia Cooper, police said. The two were brother and sister. Police said, according to their preliminary investigations, there was an altercation between the 2 victims and another man, 19-year-old Lamar Harris. Rhodes and Cooper were then unalived. A probable cause statement stated the argument stemmed from a slashed tire the night before. Police claim Harris took a lift to the victim's residence before shooting. The St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Office charged Harris of person with second-degree murder and armed criminal action in Rhodes' death. He is being held on a $750,000 cash only, no 10% bond.
He was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of armed criminal action. Authorities announced that he would be held on a $750,000 cash-only bond. That meant he would remain in custody as the case moved through the court system. For police, the suspect had been identified and arrested. For investigators, the case was moving forward. But for Laura Cooper Rhodes, none of that could undo what had happened. In the span of a few minutes on a Sunday morning, she had lost 2 of her children. The investigation was only beginning. The grief would last much longer. After the arrest of Lamar Harris, the neighborhood on Wakenda Avenue remained quiet, but the weight of the tragedy lingered in the air. Families whispered about what had happened, neighbors offered condolences, and the small community tried to make sense of a loss so sudden and so cruel. For Laura Cooper Rhodes, grief was overwhelming. She had lost her son, Mark Jr., and her daughter, Lenesia, in front of her eyes. She also had a young granddaughter left without her mother. Days passed, but the pain didn't lessen. Meanwhile, the community began to respond in other ways. Local leaders and activists called for peace and understanding, encouraging residents to avoid further violence. Neighbors organized vigils to honor Mark Jr. and Lenesia, leaving flowers and balloons at the site where they had been taken from the world. People shared messages of support on social media, remembering the 2 siblings as kind and caring young adults. Even though the police had arrested Lamar, the family and community knew that no amount of legal action could replace the lives lost. Laura had to adjust to a new reality. Her children were gone, her home would never feel the same, and her granddaughter was growing up without her mother. Friends and relatives worked tirelessly to support the little girl and to give her the love and stability she needed. For law enforcement, the case also served as a reminder of how quickly disputes can turn deadly. Police officers and investigators emphasize the importance of resolving conflicts without violence and the need for community support to prevent tragedies like this from happening again. The story of Mark Jr. and Lenijah Cooper is a heartbreaking example of how one moment of anger and poor choices can destroy lives. It also shows the role of police and the legal system in responding quickly, investigating thoroughly, and working to hold those responsible accountable. While justice would move forward in the courtroom, the healing for the family and community would take much longer. The memory of the siblings lived on through their loved ones, who continued to share stories of their kindness, laughter, and love for their family. Through vigils, social media posts, and daily remembrance, Mark Jr. and Lenijah were honored not just for how their lives ended, but for how they lived. In the end, the tragedy highlighted the importance of community, law enforcement, and legal action working together to prevent such violence. But more importantly, it reminded everyone that words, actions, and decisions carry consequences, sometimes ones that cannot be undone.